Hello, hello. Happy Tuesday morning, everyone. It's so good to be here with you as I'm recording this. This will eventually find its way into a podcast, which is coming soon for me down the pike. So stay tuned for more information on that. I wanted to talk with you all today. My name is Yael Dubin. I'm a dating and relationship coach for those of you who are on the one social media outlet here that might not know who I am already. I'm a mindfulness based dating and relationship coach, and I also bring an IFS informed perspective. And I want to unpack some of this for you today so that you sort of understand where I'm coming from with relationships. I am 100% committed to helping people who want relationships, particularly women who want close partnerships, become capable of creating the relationship they deeply want in their lives. And I've been hearing a lot lately from women who are like, oh, one thing most women are mention that they're afraid of when they come to meet with me for a breakthrough session, a free consult, the main thing they say they're afraid of, almost to a T, number one thing, I lose myself in relationships. I put that relationship ahead of my own well being and I don't see the red flags. And the second thing, along with losing myself in relationships, is the red flag issue, like not seeing the things there that are bad for them or toxic for them, ignoring that because they put that relationship at such a high priority. And I wanted to sort of address this today because for a lot of women, like they're so afraid of losing themselves, so afraid that they won't be able to hold a good boundary around themselves and protect themselves that they stay away from relationships altogether. And then there are women who, like, they had a terrible marriage like I did. I divorced my first husband in 2003. Our divorce was final. We split ways in 2002 and the divorce wasn't final for a while. And after that period of time, I was so happy to be out of that marriage, like intact with my life and livelihood and, roof over my head, blah, blah, blah. I was so happy to have found my footing in the world, but I didn't want to give that up. And I couldn't imagine being in a relationship that didn't put me at undue risk. I thought if I get in a relationship with somebody, I can't really protect myself from what this person might do to me. And that was because I really didn't know how to have the solid, healthy boundaries that I needed in the context of a close relationship. And I also had this sort of mistaken belief that in order to be independent and empowered, I had to be single. And so much changed over the following 16 years. Like for a long time, I was super committed to never putting myself in a compromising position again, to never getting hurt again, to not letting someone take advantage of me ever again, that I wouldn't allow myself to really be in a close, committed connection. Um, Not long after we divorced, I came out as queer, and this was a pattern that played itself out in my same-sex relationships as well as my straight-looking relationships, was that I really couldn't let anyone in. I had to do it myself, had to do it stand on my own 2 feet, and a lot of things changed, and one of the things that changed is that I got kind of familiar with some of the science on people in happy partnerships, science that suggested that people in happy partnerships get sick less often. They experience less stress. They generally feel happier. They feel greater life satisfaction. Now, of course, the key is on happy. The second key is on partnership. I'm not talking about a situation like my first marriage. I was sick all the time there too, and I wasn't happy. But I had this idea that the science on happy relationships suggests that there are people who have them. And I started to realize that I wanted one. I didn't need one. I was pretty happy. I had earned a six-figure income, owned my own home, my own car. I was fairly independent. I was a department chair, did all these great things, and I kept my independence like a lot of you want as well. And a lot of you know what I'm talking about. A lot of you listening to this podcast or right now or listening to this live video, if you happen to be catching this live on Facebook, because you've been through a divorce, you've been through a breakup, A, it hurt your heart terribly, and B, it really hurt your life and your well-being. And you don't want to go back down that road. And I knew in 2019 that I wanted to let in a super spectacular relationship that was what I wanted. And not what I needed, but what I wanted. I wanted to create something truly extraordinary with a partner. And I didn't think that I needed to have a partner. I knew that I wanted one. I also believe deep in my heart of hearts, and I'm a very spiritual person, I believe that when anybody wants something in that particular way, you want it because God, the universe, whoever your spirit is, that wants you to have it. The universe, God is calling for you to expand in a way that lets in the truly extraordinary. And I believe that for each of my clients. And you, as you listen to this, may not be quite in line with this, or you might be like, oh, this woman may have something to say. Maybe she has a point. You know whether this resonates. And if it resonates with you, it's possible that the reason you're here listening to this is because the universe wants you to expand in this extraordinary way as well. And if that's what you want, I want to tell you, there's nothing wrong with wanting to be happier. You can be happy and still want more. It's okay. You can be happy and think that a different car might make you happy. You can be happy and think going on an amazing trip and climbing Machu Picchu will make you a little happier. That's great. You should have those things that deeply call to you. And in reality, I don't think you need any one particular person in order to be happy. I don't assume that everyone I talk to is going to date a man, which is, I think, why some of the pushback got me really surprised. I didn't realize people were talking about only being with men. I think that in reality, and if you are bisexual or queer or lesbian, you probably also know that you have similar patterns of relationship, no matter who you're dating, no matter what gender that person is, that your patterns are actually your patterns. So what I want to express today is like the number one reason that it's really hard for people to let someone into their lives and what you can do about it. Because here's the truth. It's not the case that either you're independent or you're in a relationship. The truth is that in order to have a healthy relationship, you need to be independent and taking care of yourself while you're in connection deeply and profoundly with another person. That's what creates a truly extraordinary relationship that is going to delight you and inspire others as well. The other truth is this: healthy selves always result from healthy interconnection. You cannot get to a situation of wholeness without other people. Those other people could have been your parents. You may have a wonderful supportive friend network. You could have clergy in your life that's been really special. You may have had mentors. And if you want, you can also let in a partner and heal, if you need that, those parts of you that struggle with trust, that struggle with closeness and struggle with connection. If you deeply long for an extraordinary relationship, if that is something that your heart calls for, your heart is telling you that that closeness can potentially be healing for you. That doesn't mean it's going to be easy, because see point number two, in order to be in that connection, you have to stand solidly on your two own feet. You need to develop yourself, your self energy. And from an IFS perspective, self energy is that core of every single person that is always connected to source energy. It's filled with calm, connection, compassion, confidence, courage, creativity. Those are some of the 8 C's of self energy. And when I coach anybody, I coach them to be self-led, led from that holy, sacred center core of their being, where they are always connected to source energy, to God, to whatever your spiritual source is. And my couples coaching clients can tell you, you bring more to your relationship when you are solidly grounded in your own self, and that requires healthy boundaries. I'm always helping each member of a couple get in touch with self energy and bring self energy to their own systems, because that's actually how the healing happens. The healing doesn't happen from your partner giving it to you. The healing happens from someone standing alongside you while you develop that core of yourself and do that U-turn, that turning back into you to nurture your own system. And all of that requires healthy boundaries. And to help people with this, I have created a really awesome webinar that I'm going to be giving right here on this very Facebook page about a week from Thursday at 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. And I just went ahead and put a link into this comment box for you so that if you recognize that you could use some help getting healthy boundaries, I have a 5-step process that will help you with that. So that if you want a relationship, you can be solidly grounded in yourself and create even more closeness than you had before. And if you are in a couple, this will also be super helpful. And I want to invite you and your partner to both show up at this event because it will shift how you set boundaries, how you express yourself, how you hear them. And it's awesome for both of you to be there together and do that. So it's completely free, no obligation at all. And I love sharing this information with people because this totally changed my life. Using these skills, I've been using these steps since the early 20s when I recognized that actually my boundary issues were a huge problem for me with work. I couldn't say no to my supervisors. And even when I said it, they didn't listen to me. And I ended up getting taken advantage of in the workplace. And a lot of you can probably relate to that. So I had to learn how to do this. I also dealt with highly conflicted situations. And I use these tools to become an even more powerful leader as a department chair. And you can use these tools as well for really any situation with friends, with lovers, partners, spouses, kids, workplace, bosses, people who you supervise, doesn't matter. So if you have any questions about how to set boundaries in a sort of beautiful, gentle way that is also clear and supremely protective of your self-interests, please sign up for this webinar. I would love to see you in this podcast. I love sharing things that have been super hard for me to learn. And I keep learning more about this all the time. And I'm like continually developing in these particular tools. So I have a lot to share with you. And I had to condense it down to just, 5 main points. So please show up and I will see you then. We are about out of time for today. I would love to hear how this sits with you. I'd love to hear if this resonates, if it makes sense to have this solid core self in connection with other people as a way to both strengthen your boundaries and deepen connections. So that's all for today. I'll see you next week. Bye.